into Erie News Now Sunrise. We are continuing to highlight the efforts done by the city of Warren, Pennsylvania to help the people of Ukraine. And joining me live this morning is Father Rick Thomasone of St. Joseph's Church out in Warren. Father Rick, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So you and your church have helped raise almost $40,000 for the people of Ukraine. But not only did you do that, but you also helped sponsor a family from Ukraine that is now living in Warren. Talk about how you got started with all this.
Well, I coached a girl who was an exchange student from Slovakia, and she texted me the day after the Russian invasion of the Ukraine saying she wanted to take a refugee family, asking my opinion. When I told her that, I thought it would be a good idea. I also understood that I had to make some investment and mentioned to a few people around the parish, and they wanted to join in. And so that kind of grew to about $40,000. And I knew at that point that there was something more going on. Maybe God was nudging me in that direction. When the Ukrainian refugees began to flock to Tijuana and then walk across the border with the help of churches in Southern California, I sent the information to Barbara, and she shared the information with Ola, the mother. And I think that was the first time that coming to the United States became a reality. It sort of came onto their radar. And Barbara and I had discussed the possibility of bringing Ola and her children, Vanya and Sasha, to the United States via the program. So that's kind of how they got here in a nutshell.
Wow, just incredible. So you talked about Ola and her two children. Kind of talk about them a little bit more, and also their father. He's still in Ukraine, correct?
Correct. Dima is still in Kyiv, where they're from. Part of our program from March, April, and then the early part of May was for our school children at St. Joe's to have 2 Zoom calls with Sasha, Vanya, and Ola. In that time frame, we established a real connection, or at least as much of one as you can do in a 45-minute Zoom call.
So is there a timeline on how long Ola and her children will be living in Warren?
Yes, they applied for humanitarian parole and were granted parole for up to 2 years. After the first year, they can begin working toward a green card. We don't know any time frame when Dima might be able to leave Kyiv and come to the United States. We're hoping sooner than later. But he himself, when we first began talking about the possibility of bringing them to the United States, understood that the war in Ukraine was going to be a lot longer than people first imagined. And frankly, he wasn't sure he could even survive the war. But hopefully he's able, hopefully at some point we'll be able to bring them and reunite them as a family in Warren.
Father Rick Thomasone of St. Joseph's Church out of Warren, just talking about the efforts and hearing all that you and your church and the city of Warren has done to help the people of Ukraine and Ola and her family. It is rather incredible. And thank you so much for joining me here this morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me.